Ahoy! Welcome to Stoke Sessions, Season 2, Episode 7. Got a hot one cooked up for you this week. Talking with Miguel Rea, also known as Cooking with Fire, one of the hottest influencers of the barbecue world. This week, we're talking all about influencer marketing, both from the influencer standpoint and from the brand standpoint. A bunch of really cool tips, a bunch of hacks on how to be a better influencer, how to be a better brand working with influencers. It's a good one. Don't miss it. Here we go. Miguel, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me on. It is an honor, and I'm gonna try to give as much as I can, and whatever knowledge I have, I'll do my best. But yeah,
I
let's get right into
appreciate
it.
it, man. For sure. So, give us a little bit of a background on your experience into kind of getting into the influencer marketing space. I've read a bunch about it. I've heard a bunch about it. We've obviously, Mag's been working with you for the last couple of years through a couple of
Yep.
the brands that we have on
Right.
roster, which has been epic. We've got to see a bunch of your growth, but you got into influencer marketing, what, like 5 years ago?
Uh, I would say, yeah, more or less. It was about 5 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah, somewhere 2018, 19-ish.
I think 19ish. Yeah,
Okay.
19. Yeah, but I mean, it did take someone to help me out because I really didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
After I hit a certain amount of followers, then it's like but to I want to take you back to, I mean, I don't want to make this too long, but how I pretty much just started like into cooking, if that's cool with you, like
Yeah, please,
the way
please. I
it's
want to hear it all.
yeah. So, my wife, her dad, he pretty much would barbecue every weekend when I was visiting her. But in my mind, I really never wanted to barbecue. I never even thought about cooking. I just loved the food he made.
Yeah.
And one Fourth of July, I think around 2016, maybe 17, I did try to make some ribs, barbecue ribs, and I
Yep.
tried to smoke them like how he did, and they were tough and hard. And from there on out, I started on watching YouTube, like binging, like nonstop. It kind of awoke a passion in me because I was like, man, I can do better. So I
You
started
figured
watching
this
the
out.
barbecue. I started watching the barbecue pit boys on YouTube like
Oh yeah.
every morning and learning their tips or tricks. So that's how I really started cooking. And I bought a little smoker from Walmart. It was like $34,
Yeah.
but yeah, the ribs were pretty bad. But I still continued from there. I didn't give up. And as far as like social media, I really was never really even posting yet, per se my cooks. But when
You
I
got
did
like
start from there,
personal
I just
accounts
started.
that you were posting on?
Yeah, I was posting. I had another account before Cooking with Fire. It was just like my personal for my family, friends,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
would post, here and there, like pictures of food. And then one day I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw Derek from Over the Fire,
Yep.
and he was thanking his followers pretty much that he was blessed to do this for a living. And I said, "What? You can do this for a living?" So
Yeah.
that pretty much, I'm like, because I was working a 9 to 5. Sometimes I would get home super late, but regardless, I was doing it
Yeah.
for my family, and that's really where everything started. I'm saying, man, when that got in my brain, I'm like, I think I could do this too. So
Yeah.
I saw that he was focused on a lot of video, not really pictures. So that's how all the videos started. I just started recording myself, editing myself. I did reach out to him just to what he used as far as like editing, and believe it or not, till this day, I still use that same app.
Do you?
Yeah, I haven't moved over to a camera, so I just use my phone for everything,
Yeah.
honestly. I just got so used to it, but I do need to eventually, branch out to a camera, better editing software. But yeah, so from there, I still don't know how to approach brands because you can approach a brand, right? And most of these brands, they do want to gift you. And at the time, you're like, you know what? I'm still working, but they want to send me a grill. Why not? I don't
Yeah.
have the money for it. They want to send me meat, seasonings. I was welcoming pretty much, the gifts left and right. But to approach a brand to see the potential in you to promote their product, that's like another step. That's
For
where
sure.
Grill Nation James, he came in and he pretty much took me under his wing, and this is how you approach a brand. This is how you do it. So I'm really thankful for him that he pretty much introduced me how to approach brands in order for them to see the quality that I produce, and that that their money or their ROI is gonna go far. with
For
me.
sure.
Yeah, so they yeah, from there that's when I approach a brand. I was just emailing and said, this is my name, this is what I do, my links to my socials, and pretty much just on my page. Some responded, some didn't. And those that did, I mean, I'm still working with them. Like so many brands still, maybe about 5 or 6 yearly ongoing brands that still sponsor my content. And
That's
I'm
so
like
cool.
really grateful. Yeah, so
Yeah,
a
the
lot of the
barbecue
times,
community is relatively tight knit too, right? I mean, there's a lot of people in the
oh,
barbecue community, a lot of brands, obviously, but the core of it seems like it's a really tight knit community. It's rad to hear that those guys were able to jump in and help you out in the early days.
yes, it is very tight knit. Yes, I was even in little groups, I guess you want to call them, like barbecue little pods.
Hmm.
Maybe 5, 6 of us. But once you start like branching out, you try to help those people still till this day. But those groups, I don't know, some of them left, some of them
Yeah.
stay, other people don't continue cooking. But I mean, I want to do this for a living, and the benefit is, of course, you work from home, and you
Do what you
see
love to
your
do.
no, that is, getting to eat all the food that I make, and doing it for a living and getting paid, like, that is it. It's
Yeah.
very comforting. So
So that's a huge question that comes up a lot of time in your comments that I see is people that are like, "Man, Miguel, like you got to be careful, dude. Don't eat too much of that."
I know it's true.
How much of the food that you cook is, dude, you're cooking, what did you say, 6 times a week?
At least,
At
yep,
least. So you're
at least.
cooking a lot. I mean, the food that you're cooking, like it's
Right.
all like absolutely beautiful, first off. So nice
Oh,
work
thank
on,
you.
yeah. But I mean, the food that you're cooking is just amazing. But it's all heavy, like steaks and potatoes and lots of butter in there and all that. So how much of that food are you guys actually consuming at home? How much are you sharing with neighbors? Like, what's your program there?
Yep. So yeah, so anything I cook, I reach out to my father-in-law. Pretty much, he takes part of it. My brother-in-law that comes and helps, he takes some food home. But I do consume at least not most of it, but maybe about half.
Dude, I'm gonna
But
have to come up there and help you
yeah,
help you eat some of that,
yeah,
bro.
calm down. You're more than welcome. Yeah. I mean,
Oh, that's
I always,
rad.
especially when I do briskets, it's just so much meat.
Oh, dude.
Brisket, anything ribs is just a lot of meat. But I do give up most of it away. I
Yeah,
don't eat all of it, but I do, some of it.
yeah.
So
That's cool. So walk me through. So the timeline, like 2019, let's say you got started, got some help from a few of the people within there, started reaching out to brands. What was the timeline and like the growth timeline that you saw? Was it you're going from zero in 2019 to right now? I think your IG channel's got 2.2. I think we said Facebook's at 2.8. Like you've seen massive growth, gotten into the TikTok game, YouTube, seen big growth there. But what was like the initial growth succession like?
the growth, it was pretty hard. So when I started till now, I did get a few followers here and there, but what really helped me is posting consistently, and posting a lot. Back in the day when I wanted to grow, I was maybe posting, maybe 3, 4 times. So the way it was, I was still not 100% doing this. I was still having my job. So
Yeah,
whenever I would get home, even 4 or 5 o'clock at night, even with the light on, I would still grind and cook something, whip up something fast, even hot dogs, burgers, and post it the same night.
yeah,
Chicken wings, anything I cook fast. So yeah, the grind is definitely that you gotta just push through, post as much as you can, that way you favor the algorithm, and then your growth just from there explodes. Um,
yeah,
I did notice some periods in time where it's like the holidays. I guess not the brands, the social media like Instagram, Facebook, all them. They want to push some of your recipes more, and that's really where a lot of the growth comes from.
Oh,
Like
really?
during the year, it's pretty good, but towards the end, I've noticed like around Thanksgiving and all that, turkey recipes, prime rib, they push that a lot because they also be running ads on those videos, and that's where
Yeah,
a lot of the growth. That's what I've noticed. The trend is always like huge peak and then a huge drop during the year.
yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
interesting. I mean, part of that too, but like my background is kind of technical in web development and working on algorithms and things like that.
right.
Also in social media and all of the apps, but I know that a lot of the search volume is what drives algorithm movement as
Yes.
well. So obviously during those peaks where you're seeing like, oh, holiday, the Thanksgiving turkey and
Mm-hmm.
different sides to cook, things like that. There's a lot more people that are actively searching social media platforms to find things like what you're
Right.
cooking all the time. So that makes a lot of sense. That's cool. So you reached out to some brands. That initial interaction, you were mentioning you started getting like, oh, we've got a couple freebies. We can shoot you a grill if you tag us in a post, things of that nature. At what point did you kind of get into the pay to play game and start working with brands on more a consistent basis and get to the
Okay.
point where now you're able to do this as a full-time job?
Right. So as soon as I found out that I had too many grills, too many, yeah, too many free gifts. It
Yeah.
just goes so far, right? And after that, I mean, that's when I really was like, you know what? I am spending the money, you know, from my job to buy like that meat or whatever it is to cook on that grill to
Yeah.
tag them. And that's when it pretty much dawned on me, like, you know what? Well, that's when my friend, like I told James, he was like, "Hey, man, your grills can only take you so far. That's really not gonna pay your bills. And if you want to do this full time, you gotta approach it differently." So that's when I started talking to brands, and I think I was around maybe 60,000 followers or so around there, and that's when I really approached my first brand, which was a pork company.
Hmm.
And we were going back and forth, and when they say, "Hey, you know what? We'll give you," I think it was maybe $300 a post. That's when I was like, "What?" Like,
Yeah.
I was just shocked. That was like my very first deal, and they wanted at least 4 posts, and to me that was huge.
Yeah.
I was like, "No way!" Like, it just feels so good that they're like, "Hey, that's your first deal," and then from there it just started to snowball. And as soon as I knew that I can save a certain amount of money in order for me to quit, then that was my next goal. So, but that was the first deal. After that, other brands started rolling through. I was getting more emails. I guess once they start seeing your growth to other companies, and then they reach out like, "Hey, how much will you charge?" Because some probably do know that they have to pay you, not just gift you things.
Yeah.
But then till this day, there's still a few brands that they won't pay you. They just want to gift you, and for you to tag them. But when you have such a large audience, I'm like, they don't really see like the hard work that you put in,
For
in
sure.
your work, so you can grow that amount of followers. So,
Yeah, it's a
but
ton of work to do what you do. We were talking about that
you know,
before we started off here, but like just the setup, the cleanup,
right.
the act of running your camera, and obviously, doing that as a small team it's a ton of
Mm-hmm.
work, but it's also, it's a labor of love, right?
No, it is, and I love
Yeah.
what I do, and I'm not gonna stop anytime soon. I'm just gonna keep going
Yeah.
and see where it takes me. Eventually, maybe write a cookbook one day, maybe release some seasonings, but we'll
Yeah.
see. You just never know.
And you've done some co-ops in the
Hmm.
past, right? With different spice brands or knife brands. Don't you have a knife that you're running right now?
Right. I was, but we kind of broke it off. But
Okay.
we I was, yeah, and
Yeah.
also with a spice brand. Some of those, yeah. I mean, I don't really want to get too deep into that, but
Sure.
you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
we
It's
just parted our ways. We just saw that it wasn't really working, so we just
yeah.
But yeah.
So in terms of, I want to get into some of the detail of just like working with brands as an influencer. I think there's so many brands that either are in influencer marketing that might not be doing it in the best way possible, or
Right.
brands out there that want to get into influencer marketing, right? What sort of recommendations do you have, whether that's in the barbecue space, outside of the barbecue space, just kind of influencer marketing in general? What kind of recommendations do you have to those brands on what's the proper way to reach out? What's the best way to create a good relationship? Inner workings of billings and things like that.
Right.
Getting the right return on whatever their investment is to work with influencers. What kind of suggestions do you have to the brands out there?
Well, for the brands, what you want to first see is like obviously the views that people are getting, their engagement on the videos, and also the followers do count, of course, because that does push you even more, on the algorithm. So when a brand reaches out to, like, let's say me, and they see that, they always want to see your top, like your last 30 of days of engagement. And of
Hmm.
course, I screenshot that, I send it over. So brands first, they should ask for engagement the last 30 days, and also the reach on videos. So it does give you like a little, on Instagram, your analytics.
Yep,
Ask for that first, so that way they know almost what they're gonna get, right? Because you don't want to just reach out to somebody randomly that they have never really even looked at their account. So that's another thing. You got to see how many times they're posting, how their posts are doing, or people are engaging.
yeah,
Then they go off of that too. So there's a lot of little things before I recommend a brand reaching out to somebody. You cannot just like, oh, I'm just gonna reach out to this person. But if they don't really see even their videos or anything, then they don't really know what they're getting into, right?
for sure.
So that's one of the biggest things.
And there's different thresholds of influencers too, obviously, right? Like
Right.
we talked about kind of like some of those specific thresholds would be the, micro influencer that's maybe
Mm-hmm.
5 to 10,000 followers. You've
Right.
got, from 10,000 up into the 100K.
Right.
100K is kind of like a big threshold, but
Mm-hmm.
I would assume for brands as well, like look for the right fit for where your brand is in its influencer marketing program, also in its maturity as a brand. Like, some of the brands that you and I work with together are in big box, Home Depots and
They
Walmarts
are.
and Costco's and that nature. That's a good time to be reaching out to big influencers like yourself. Obviously, if you're a brand out there that's still in the regional retail space, mom and pop
Right.
retail space, or just doing e-com, might be better to start with like a smaller group of micro influencers that sometimes you can gift those
Yes.
people to make posts. But that's
Right.
cool. I'm curious. I'm curious. Any like what? Let's talk through real quick. What's some of like the big name brands, both in the barbecue space, and I'm pretty sure you've done some work outside of like the cooking and barbecue space, maybe in the cleaning space. But what are some of your like highlight brands that you've worked with over the years?
One big one that hit me up that I was like, wow, it was Dawn. Dawn soap.
Don. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I cleaned a grill with their, they pretty much just hit you up, and then they you go on a call with them to see what they're looking for. So yeah, but I used their Dawn spray, their power spray to clean, and it did a really good job on cleaning the grill.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
dope.
Dawn was big. Another big one was Budweiser
Oh,
when they
really?
released yeah, when they released their Bud Zero. Um, one that was huge was also I think it's Next Level Chef, which was Fox.
Okay.
They wanted me to promote their release of Next Level Chef when it was just coming out. So I made a recipe and I talked about that show coming out. And
Very cool.
yeah, there's been a few I still work with and love working with, like Ninja too. Ninja's
Yeah.
a pretty big brand. They're almost everywhere now.
Yep.
Their cooler that came out, really cool cooler. Yeah, but there's quite a few that that I still work with, and that sometimes there's brands that they do targeted posts, right? So they only hit me up like certain time, like when it's peak barbecue season or the holidays. They don't really work the whole year, but they
Yeah.
only yeah, they reach out to me. There's some brands that do that. They want to do that more targeted, so that way they have a budget just designed for that.
Yeah. More
So
campaign specific.
right, yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
sense. Do you prefer to work in that capacity, or would you rather be working on like a monthly kind of retainer? I don't know if that's how
Uh,
you refer to it in your world, but
Yeah, no
that's yeah,
retainer.
yeah,
Yeah, monthly. Monthly's best.
yeah.
Yeah,
Give
because
you
the
something
one
long
offs.
term.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Long term to me is always best because you build that relationship even deeper with that
yeah,
brand. Yeah, and then of course another big thing is when you are in that space where you have a relationship with the brand, you want to talk to them, give them that room that they deserve. Like jump on a call here and there, or even if it's through text message, just say, hey, how's it going? How you doing? What are you thinking? You always want to have them also involved. So not just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do it, and then you do your own thing." No, you want to have them involved so that way the connection is deeper between you and that brand.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure that gives you opportunities too. I'm not sure how
hmm
much you do with like co-ops where it's like, oh, there's this brand that's asking me this thing and this
hmm
brand that's asking me this thing. Why don't I put the two of you guys together in one video and let's have it be, a shared resource for
Right.
everyone.
Yeah, yeah. If they, it depends. Yeah, but I do that. Like you said, co-op. With some brands, giveaways, stuff like that. I say, why not? So it's all in the
Yeah.
barbecue space. So yeah, no, I'm down for any of that stuff. So yeah.
That's cool. All right, so I want to ask you a few questions just on
Yep.
barbecue stuff. I'm a huge barbecue fan as well. I do a little bit of cooking and smoking here at the house. But what's your favorite grills to cook on? What's like grill style? You don't have to get brand specific, obviously, but
Right.
what like are you do you prefer offset smokers? You prefer pellet smokers? You prefer charcoal? What's your go-to?
I think I prefer all of them.
Yeah,
It just depends what I'm cooking, right?
yeah,
So, if you're gonna do an overnight cook, a pellet smoker is the way to go.
yeah,
But I guess I just like all the grills to tell you the truth. They're not really. It's like your child, You don't have a favorite. It's
yeah,
it's whatever grill. I really enjoy cooking on almost any different type of grill I can get my hands on. I
yeah,
love experimenting, but to say, I mean, the convenience of a pellet smoker, it's really cool because at night you can just throw a big brisket on and
yep,
it'll be ready. So yeah, that. But do I have a favorite one? I can't really think of any that I can say, man, I just need to cook on this one.
yeah.
But I just love any kind of grill, really. Yeah.
Any specific cuts of meat that you favor, or is it same answer? Are you kind of all over the place? You want to test
Mm,
all of them?
I like tomahawks.
Yeah, dude.
Tomahawks, yeah, with the compound butter. That's
Yeah,
my way. Yeah, I just love that, and steak sandwiches. But yeah, tomahawks is one of my favorite cuts of meat. And for smoking, beef ribs. Beef ribs is so good. Always so tender, juicy.
yeah.
So
Beef
yeah.
ribs, beef ribs. Obviously, brisket's a big one, but
Right.
beef ribs almost like a better taste than the brisket if it can be.
No,
Um,
no, it's true. That's because
the
the
only,
brisket has that flat end where it's always dry.
yeah,
No matter what you do, unless it's wagyu, then you can get away with it. But yeah, the point's always the juiciest, and literally a beef rib is all juicy all the way through.
yeah.
Even if you get choice grade prime, there, it's always really good. Yeah.
So I'm curious, where do you get your beef rib plates at? Because that's like that, especially in California where we're both
Right.
at. I think when you go to Texas,
Oh.
there's a difference in the steer that they're harvesting out there
Right.
that allows the ribs to get a little bit bigger. But here in California, dude, it's hard to find those. Where are you getting them? Is it specialty butchers, or you pre-order them, or what?
I order them online. Mainly,
Okay,
I use like Porter Road or even I forgot the other name of the other company, but mainly Porter Road. They have some really nice beef plate ribs.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
that's
Yeah,
tough.
like you said, they are really hard to get. And any around you, it's always like the small little cuts. There's not,
Yeah,
not
they're
huge
tiny.
plates.
They're not
Yeah.
those dino ribs like you want to get.
Right.
Yeah, I've
Oh,
got one
Wild Fork Foods.
Wild Fork
It's
Foods.
yeah. They also have some really good ribs.
Okay,
Yep.
killer. So a little bit of a topic change. I'm curious. Obviously, you've been in the influencer game for a long time.
Right.
What are some of the things? What are some of the changes that you've seen in influencer marketing, social media? I know we've talked a little bit about like post throttling and engagement throttling that we've seen, but what are some of the things that you've seen change, and then what are the things that you're looking out for right now in terms of like platform usage? Which platforms are you working on mostly? Just curious your perspective on what's changing.
Right. So, as far as the platforms I typically just post on all of them straight across the board.
So
Right.
that's covering Instagram,
In
Facebook.
TikTok and YouTube Shorts. So I
Okay.
post, yeah. Whenever I release something, some video, it's always edited a little bit different, but I do always post it across the board, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, the throttling right now, I could see it. I mean, a lot of people see it, and they reach out to me. But I always tell them like, we can't control the algorithm. We just gotta keep pushing through, and eventually they'll change it again. Because, like I said, it comes in waves. It goes up and down. I've noticed like even maybe Memorial Day or holidays, they tend to like show your stuff more. That's if a lot of them are running ads for like barbecue or stuff like that. Then I see a big change like that, but
Yeah.
right now, yeah, it's pretty tight. So we're not getting the views and the eyes that at the moment, but we just got to keep pushing through.
What about from new feature perspective? Like I know as TikTok rose into popularity,
Right.
Instagram kind of took that idea and took the TikTok style and rolled it out. And I know for a long time, if you started using that, it was like, dude, you would get views through the roof because it was a new feature. Instagram wants to promote people using
Right.
that. Any new features that you're seeing or anything that you're jumping on in the near future?
Mm, at the moment, no. I'm like you said, they did change it. They pretty much, copied them.
Yeah,
The other one that's doing that now, and I got a message was from Facebook. They're gonna do everything's gonna be integrated, like what you said, in video form. Like there's not gonna be reels, video, nothing. It's gonna be all in one. So Facebook's gonna be rolling that out next month.
yeah,
So you're gonna have just scroll through short form, long form, anything. But that's the only feature that I know of that's up and coming. YouTube did the same thing with shorts.
yep,
But but in everything, I can't really think of any other feature that they
yeah.
are coming up with. Yeah,
Definitely, as you see them, you jump on those quick, right? Like
right.
lives kind of did the same thing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always a good little hack for any of the influencers or the brands out there that are posting social. And whenever you see a new feature get introduced to the platform, jump on it quick because
Right.
it'll boost your
Oh,
engagement like crazy.
right. The poll feature. See, now when you
Oh yeah,
post,
yeah,
yeah, they brought the little poll feature on Instagram, and I use it here and there because I really noticed. I don't know. I haven't really noticed a big change.
yeah,
When I use the poll or not. So, music. Some people like to use trendy music,
yep,
and sometimes it works. But like I said, I don't know. I really don't see like a big difference. So I try to stick to posting like, maybe 9:30 in the morning. My posts go live around that time.
yeah.
And
You do a blast onto all of the platforms at that time.
yep, a
Yeah,
lot of people always ask me like, "What's your time?" And I said, usually around that time because other people are like, "Oh, you should post later, maybe in the afternoon." But I don't know. To me, it hasn't really like I haven't really noticed a difference if I post
yeah.
early or late.
Yeah, I
So
think you touched on the right element a little bit earlier in the conversation with it, which is consistency. I mean, if
go.
anything, and that goes for anything you're doing, influencer marketing, social media,
Mm-hmm.
business. If you want to get into weight loss
Yes,
or personal habit change, anything like that, consistency is always the number one key. I'm trying to teach my kids that right now at their ripe young age.
there you go.
It'll
It is
probably
true.
I gotta stay consistent with it, right?
Consistency, yeah, that is one of the huge points that that I would give. Like, be consistent, keep posting. I know sometimes you're gonna feel pretty bad about like your post didn't do good, and it will get into you. But just keep pushing through, just keep grinding, and eventually you're gonna get to that goal that you really want. You know.
Really cool. Yeah, that's right, man. It's definitely a grind, and I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
the just the rise and fall of even the platforms. Like, dude, I got into marketing before Twitter, Facebook,
Oh
Instagram, any of
wow.
that stuff, like long time ago. So I've seen a lot of the changes over the years, which has been really cool. But it's also one of those things where it's like, dude, you really have to stick to it, really have to get involved, and really dedicate yourself to it to see
Yes.
the sort of success that unfortunately, social media has also created this kind
Mm-hmm.
of perspective of like really quick, really immediate results, makes people want things to happen a lot quicker than sometimes they need to. So I think that's a
Yep.
message that I would give out to whether you're on the influencer side or on the brand side.
Right.
Stay consistent. Don't expect things to blow up overnight. It's not the way it works. You got to put
Mm-hmm.
in the work. You got to put in the elbow grease and make it happen.
Right. Yeah, there's like I said, a few people out there that, like personal family members that wanted to also start a page. And I told them to push through, be consistent, but
Yeah,
they saw how hard it was and they just stopped doing it. But, I mean, that's personal choice. I mean, I because they want to do what I do, right? Because they do their own 9 to 5 and they're like,
yep,
man, I want the freedom. And I said, well, technically I am like I guess free, but I'm always answering comments, answering emails. So it's almost like a 24/7 job in a way.
yeah.
That I'm always there answering companies. You don't want to just leave them hanging.
For sure.
You do want to go into your DMs once in a while. And that's where, DMs are kind of like, I get into them, but then there's so many and yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, you always
Ha-
got to be active.
I'm curious too, before we wrap things up here, how much time do you actually spend in platform with like all of the tools, all of the platforms combined? Would you say that's like, I don't know, how many hours a day would you say that you're in
I
there?
want to say when I get the report from Facebook, I mean from iPhone,
Yeah.
about 8, 9 hours a day.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a
It's
ton.
a lot of time. I just jump in there, answer questions.
Yeah.
And then also I write a recipe here and there. I'm trying to do at least one a day for my. I mean, sorry, one a week for my website.
Oh, cool.
But yeah. So that's what I've been trying to focus on right now. And yeah, but yeah, I'm on it like a lot. Seeing
Yeah.
new recipes, seeing what's trending, see what I can, what kind of input I can do on that recipe. I guess not to make it better, but to make it my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do. I just stay on the phone, see what's up and coming and all that as far as like food. But it
For
is
sure.
hard to think about a recipe almost like consistently every month because from the time I started to now, I'm still so it's I mean it's a lot of recipes and I should start exploring a little bit different, like maybe pastas because I really don't do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
More
you pretty much stick
salmon,
to the grill. Yeah.
I stick to the grill. Yep.
Yep. Well, dude,
That's
I like
nice.
what you're doing, man. Huge inspiration to not only me, but a lot of people out there in the world. So it's been rad to see your growth. One quick question before we jump off here, and I do this on each of the podcasts. Just one thing that you're stoked on right now. It doesn't need to be barbecue influencer related. It could just be in life. I'm always trying to share the stoke with people and keep people hyped and motivated. So, one thing that
Right.
you're stoked on coming out of the pod and going into like the rest of the week.
Well, I like to go and eat. I guess try new foods.
Stoked for lunch coming up in
I
like
am
10
really
minutes.
I love like pizza too.
Yeah.
And I like to try different pizzas. The best one that I like going to right now is the one up in Idlewild. They
Oh,
cook
yeah.
their pizza on a wood fired oven, and they make the best pastas. But that is really one of the things, and also me focusing on making that right pizza dough. The recipe.
Yeah.
So I've been that's what I've been just stoked on, like trying to get the right consistency on the dough, and also trying out different areas that inspire me. But
Super cool.
yeah,
Yeah. I love it. Well, listen, Miguel, I really appreciate your time today. Like I said, it's been amazing to watch your growth, and we'll look forward to continuing to watch that growth over the next few years here. And we'll be looking for new features and new opportunities to continue to push out there. But just real quick, if anyone wants to check out your stuff, obviously Cooking with Fire on Instagram. If you search that on any of the platforms,
right,
give your web address a quick pub for us, just so that people can see some of the recipes that you're working on.
right. So it's CWFeats.com.
EATS.
Yeah. So see, it's like Cooking with Fire abbreviated. Eats like eating. Eats with the
Got
S
it.
dot com. Yeah,
Got it.
CWFeats.com. Check me out there and try my recipes. Send me a DM, tag me, and we'll share it.
Love it.
Oh,
Miguel, thanks again for your time today. Look forward to catching up with you again soon, and we'll be watching what you're cooking, man. What is on the menu for you? Are you done cooking for the day today? But what's on the menu for tomorrow?
tomorrow I am thinking of making probably some pastrami smash burgers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're killing me, dude.
And there was another recipe I wanted to do, or maybe some gorditas, from Taco Bell. The
Yeah,
gorditas. Yeah,
yeah,
some of those. So
I love it.
I made one the other day, but I want to remake it because it turned out great. But to me, when you see that, you eat with your eyes first when you see food. So
Yeah,
I need to just make it, I guess, more loaded.
there you go.
Yep.
Dude, the crunch wraps are always a fan favorite, right? Those things
Oh,
go off like crazy on the
yeah, they
internet.
do. Yeah, they do. Yep. That was one of my
Right on.
most watched videos
I know it.
on from Next Girl. Yeah, that thing went, oh man, millions of views. I forgot how many,
Yep.
17 or 20 million. I don't, yeah, that was a lot of
Yeah.
views. But yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
And
likewise. Enjoy the
sure,
rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon.
you as well. Thank you.
Cheers, Miguel.
Bye.